I'm Yair Etziony, originally from Israel, living in Berlin for 5 years, working as a DevOps consultant for Polar Squad from Finland, Helsinki. We are DevOps consultancy doing only DevOps, so we are experts in DevOps, or as we say, we're the best DevOps company, according to us. I was started in the army, in a technical unit in the IDF. So I was a network operator, and everybody that was in my unit in the army had a job or waiting for him in the market in Israel. And so automatically when I left the army, I had a job waiting for me. So I worked for many years as network administrator, then Windows administrator. Then the market was not so good. It was the death of the .com, and I was needing something new, so I said Unix, Linux. Then things really changed, so I was a bit of system administrator for Unix, and then system engineer for Unix, and then the market really changed, so they really needed quality assurance engineer that knows Unix in out. And then I found a job at a company called Clusters. And Clusters were really famous in the open source community. And basically we did the cloud computing before everybody thought about the cloud computing. And I worked with the best Linux people in Israel. And from then it was quality assurance. Then I retired in 2015 after working for McAfee. I decided I don't want to do IT and software anymore, and I was concentrating on music basically. But when I moved to Berlin, I felt this urge to check the scene. But there was a new role suddenly. Everybody wanted me to do DevOps, and I actually learned to listen to the market. And I said, "What is DevOps?" And then they said, and I said, "It's what I did as quality assurance engineer, but without doing testing so much." So I like it. It's cool. So Polar Squad has 3 branches. So one is in Tampere, it's a new one. It's a city in Finland. One is in Helsinki, which is the main one, and one in Berlin, which now has 2 people working. And what we do is we do DevOps consultancy. We have from assessments to doing the hands-on ourselves. We have some of the best people I ever worked with in our company, so expert in Azure, expert in Google Cloud, experts in AWS. We are the first Finnish company to be a certified solution provider of Kubernetes. We are associates with all the big clouds. We have quite amazing customers also in Finland, and we're building something new in Berlin and already working, so we have customers already. It's really important because a lot of people think that it's just about putting stuff in the cloud and automating things and making infrastructure as service or anything like that. But at the end of the day, it's a misconception if you ask me. So there's a lot of then you don't really, if you don't look at the organizational side of things, then you might not be doing real DevOps. You are maybe doing automated cloud and fast infrastructure. But what you need is to break silos and to create an environment where developers are empowered and they understand resilience, they understand infrastructure, and they can do a lot of the stuff by themselves. So you need to add a lot of humanistic, cultural things into that. If you have a big DevOps team that is a silo by itself, then you don't do real DevOps. You are only doing a lot of automations, but you're missing something that is important, that at the end is not really doing DevOps. Okay, so I don't know what's going to be the next thing, but I can tell you about Kubernetes. Any next thing, anything that will become something big in the future, will have to tackle Kubernetes. So it's either a continuum of Kubernetes or a revolution from Kubernetes. But since Kubernetes is the main idea right now for what I call the avant-garde of software development, everything will have to be sort of like agreeing with Kubernetes or fighting with Kubernetes. So this is how I see it. And it will be layers and layers of abstractations, because Kubernetes is an abstraction of hardware into an orchestration tool. So it will be a continuum of that. Okay, so it's about the DevOps community, and it's about sharing knowledge, and it's about doing what DevOps people actually really like to do, and talk about infrastructure, talk about cultural things, and exchange ideas, and creating a community. I'm very new in this meetup, and I joined this meetup because I went to their meetups and talked in the meetups, and I really like the people, especially Niels Hage, who is a great guy. And when they asked that they need help, if somebody wants to help them from the community, it was pretty obvious that I want to help them. So yeah, super nice people. Oliver, Sebastian, Niels, like it's a pleasure doing stuff with them. Interesting part about Berlin is the community side of things. So it's every day there's enough meetups here. You always meet interesting people. There's always something happening in Berlin, and there's always interesting people. There's also a lot of non-interesting things happening, but if you have your ear in the right places and you know the right people, you will always have someone interesting to talk to. So, and I think also the scene is just like waking up. So 5 years ago it was different when I arrived, and definitely you can see a difference right now. So it's waking up, it's starting to be more deep in a way, but still there's problem with the infrastructure of the city that is not built exactly to make Berlin the capital of startups of Germany. But I think it's going into the right direction. So it's becoming more and more serious, more and more interesting, more and more people coming from UK, from United States of America, from France, from Poland, and from Israel. And I think what I really like about it is the fact that it's very multicultural. So if you work in Israel, so you meet a lot of people that are all from the same background as you. And here you can work with people from all over the world, and I really appreciate that. So as a developer, you already have like an inherited advantage over system administrators. So because you are a coder, you are already sort of fitting more the state of mind of SRE and DevOps. So I would say put some effort into understanding infrastructure and put some effort into understanding a cultural thing. I think in order to be a really good DevOps engineer, you need to have people skills. So I know it's a misconception, but this is how I see it. It's a lot about talking and mitigating and explaining and teaching and letting people understand that this whole thing is more than just automation. It's not just being really good developer. It's about having the ability for people to understand that the fact that you wrote good code, but it doesn't really mean that you did a good job.